code for the fact that we're running about 10 minutes late due to all the politicians in the crowd. When I first came and met with Mayor Lowe, who you're going to hear from here in a few minutes, I walked into his office and he sat me down. This is the day the day before we officially announced the project. And he sits me down across his desk and he looks me straight in the eye, kind of peers at me for a second. And he says, "Son, are you the real deal?" And I said, "Mr. Mayor, I don't have time not to be the real deal. I've got clients that need buildings, so let's get started." And so with that, we're going to go ahead and get started and keep this train on track as much as we can. I want to start by recognizing a number of guests in the crowd, and I'm sure I'm going to miss somebody, and please don't be offended. But I'm going to go down the list. Senators Blackburn and Hagerty could not be here today. They've got a couple of field reps, some representatives from their office, Chelsea Evans and Riley Levengood here today. I did see Congressman Burchett in the crowd. Congressman, can you raise your hand right over there? Thank you for coming, sir. We also have State Senator Mike Bell, who also saw in the crowd right here, and also Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, sitting right next to him. We also have a number of House members, Michelle Carringer, Mark Cochran, and Lowell Russell, some of whom I saw here earlier. Thank you again for your time today. Also, Judge Jerome Melson, right here. And I want us to talk about Jerome for just a second. He's from this area, and he was one of the first people that I called when we started looking at this project, just to help me understand the people, the culture, and just the environment and the I would say just the community that we were getting ready to enter into. He was a great advisor on the front end, so thank you, sir. I also want to reference Doyle Lowe, who you're going to again hear from here in just a few minutes. I'll leave that to him. Mayor Mitch Ingram. So this is Monroe County Mayor Mitch Ingram. We also have Sweetwater Recorder Jessica Morgan. Jessica, can you raise your hand, please, right here in front? So Jessica has been a tremendous friend throughout this process, and she has worked tirelessly when we have been communicating with the community and various stakeholders, and she has just been a tremendous advocate for the city of Sweetwater. I'm going to talk about that again here in a few minutes. We also have Town of Tellico Plains Mayor Marilyn Parker. We have Chiefs Byram and Chief Anderson. That's police and fire, respectively. We were here somewhere there in the back, Chief Byram and Anderson. We also have Commissioner Sam Moser and Buster West somewhere in the crowd today. And Sweetwater Regional Planning Commissioners Abby Cook, Brandon Lovingood, Jerry Richardson, and Angie Watson. I've seen a couple today. Can't point them out, but they're here somewhere. We also have Monroe County Commissioner Richard Kirkland and Adam Reynolds, and then Monroe County Planning Commissioners Tammy Carson and Chris Wiseman. And then I have a few friends from Knox County that we brought down, Sheriff Tom Spangler. Sheriff, can you raise your hand, please? Good friends, and also a couple of our commissioners, Larson J. and Kyle Wood, also friends. Here's Larson. Kyle, can you raise your hand, please? Right there in the back. So I appreciate you guys making the drive down here today. They're personal friends and have come and visited our facilities in Knox County and have an interest in what we're doing there. Let me talk a little bit about the project, and then I want to talk about the people who are making it happen. You're standing in what we call Building A. This is the first of 6 buildings. This is about 700,000 square feet. There will be 5 more buildings for the next mile and a half or so behind me, all along I-75. And all of these are earmarked for Red Stag Fulfillment. And there's a number of those representatives here today. I see some branded red shirts in the crowd. This is a very hard-working group of people who are growing a business in a very dynamic environment. And we are just delighted to be able to come and expand into this community in this way. So you're standing in Building A, 700,000 square feet. We have some other property on the other side of the road that we will develop out at some point for some other manufacturing and distribution. But this is really what this will become our East Coast campus for that company. It's going to be our main hub for servicing clients from all over the world, storing and shipping product, and essentially supporting small business and medium businesses all over the world. So, with the project in mind, I want to now go ahead and shift into the really the people who are making it happen. And I know you're supposed to always recognize your wife and your family at these events. So I'm of course going to call out my wife and my 4 kids sitting here in the front. But I want to say this is a very legitimate show of appreciation. I have hauled them out here on many a weekend to inspect the job site. And we usually try to make it fun, so we'll go 4-wheeling or something like that. But I always come back with a load of pictures to send to our general contractors and teams with, and they're smiling and laughing up here, I'll come back with a bunch of notes of things that are either looking good or not looking good in some cases. So they've just been tremendously patient with what has continued to be a very intense project and very understanding. So I want to call out my son Benjamin, Alexander, Grant, and Juliet here in the front, and of course my lovely wife, hands raised, Christina. So the other people I want to really draw some attention to, first is Rick Pope and Justin Marcus from Joseph Construction. And I've worked with these fellows now for, I guess, 3 years or so, and I've learned a lot from them. We've had some intense conversations. They've been patient with me. I've been occasionally patient with them, but they've just done a tremendous job of serving us as their clients and advising us and helping us make a lot of decisions in a very difficult environment, just the supply chain and general troubles and challenges that you deal with when building projects like this. They've just been great advisors, and they've also executed very, very well. So Rick and Justin, I just want to thank you guys for making this happen and for doing it with excellence and doing it with our best interests in mind and really being an advocate for us. So I couldn't emphasize that enough. And then there's also a few members from our team. Eli Campbell, who is, I believe, controlling that drone right there, so he might be somewhere in the distance. He is a key member of our team, wears many hats, and he's just brilliant. Also want to mention Ryan Burnich, who's our eyes and ears on the ground out here. He is essentially an owner's rep, and it's a huge responsibility that he's taken on, and he's just done a phenomenal job. And he's impressive, and he's really risen to the occasion. I also want to, of course, mention Bennett Giles. Bennett, can you raise your hand, please? Right there in the back. Bennett is my right-hand man. He is also the person who's in charge of this event with his colleague Joe Parak. And Bennett, many of you know him, and many of you have received emails from him over time. He is incredible, and to the extent that you enjoy your time here today, please give the credit to him and to Joe Parak here in the blue shirt as well. They've done a great job. Also want to mention Eric Hicks. Eric Hicks, can you raise your hand, please? All right, right there in the back. So Eric is with the Sweetwater Utilities Board. And I'm going to tell you a little secret publicly here. I've never put in 2.5 miles of water line and gas lines and all the electric and roads. And I've done some of that in the past, but it's a complex project. And if it weren't for people like Eric Hicks advising and helping and thinking creatively and trying to find ways to make it happen, this kind of project wouldn't happen. So Eric, I just want to thank you very specifically for helping us get this done. You are a huge asset to this community. A couple more people, and then I'm going to introduce our mayor. We have a small contingency here today from Cannon and Cannon. You guys can raise your hands, please. I see Houston over here. We've got 4 or 5 other members. So Cannon and Cannon is a civil engineering firm. They've done tremendous work on this project. This has been, again, a very difficult project from an engineering standpoint, and they've been with me every step of the way, sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't expect that from them all the time, but they were there when we really needed them on some key time-critical issues. So I want to thank Jason Hunt in particular for being there for us, and Brian Haas as well. Also Johnson Architecture, Eric Bowen, and Daryl Johnson, and Jeremiah Corbett, who I believe is here today, and Kelly Hicks. They've just done tremendous work and have been they've been both patient with me, and they've also been firm at times to help steer us in the right direction. So I just want to thank you guys for being so kind and helpful along the way. Also Geoservices, Ross Kendry. I never knew that dirt science could be so complex and so expensive. Ross reminds me of that every single day, but he does great work. We also have Facility Systems. They are true to our governor's heart, our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering firm. They've done a great job out here. You can see there's a lot of pipe and a lot of infrastructure that goes in these buildings, and they've done a phenomenal job. We also have Bender and Associates. Rob Hauser, are you here? Okay, I was kind of hoping he wasn't going to be here. I actually thought about not inviting him here today because he's got 2 projects on his desk right now that I'm waiting on, and I thought it might be better if you just stayed at home and worked on those. But Rob, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, the parking attendants just need to let you out first so you can get back to your office. PD Tech, Scott Fraser, they are a fire suppression engineering firm right there in the back. Just brilliant in what they do and have been, again, just great advisors. We also have Chuck Whited and John Campbell. Chuck's no longer with the city of Sweetwater, but I can tell you that from the very beginning of this project, he was there with us, he was advocating for us, and he was helping us figure out how to get this done in a sensible way that would, at the end of the day, just benefit all stakeholders, to include his community here in Sweetwater. And then last but not least, the tradesmen, the subcontractors. I know Jesus is out here somewhere. I've seen Steve Turner. I've seen Stan Walls. We've got Jeremy with the excavation firm. There's a lot of people who come to this site every single day and who work in the rain, who work in the cold. I know because I have a camera up there and I check it every morning when I get up, and I check it at bed when I go to bed at night. They're out here all the time, and they just do phenomenal work. And I just want to say to you guys, thank you so much. Jesus, are you there? Jesus, raise your hand. Back there. There he is. He really comes through for us when we need it most. So I want to call him out specifically. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our mayor, City of Sweetwater Mayor Doyle Lowe. I was at a function last night at a dinner, and the speaker referenced a proverb that I thought was just fantastic, so I want to pull it out. And this was a dinner for a group called C12, and the proverb is, "Blessed is he who plants trees under whose shade he will never sit." And I thought, man, I need to pull that. I need to use that tomorrow, because as soon as I heard that come out of his mouth, I thought of the mayor. I thought of Mayor Doyle. And the reason is, I've spent a lot of time in commission meetings and planning commission meetings and zoning meetings and a lot of meetings. And in every single case, the questions that are asked and the advocacy that is on display shows the true heart of this man and of his team. And that is, he's thinking ahead. He's thinking about generations henceforth. He's thinking about infrastructure. He's thinking about jobs. He's thinking about opportunity. And I just think the mayor is a great example, not just here, but also for towns and cities across the state, of what it means to lead and to really think through the lens of planting trees that you're never going to sit under. And he has done a great job of that. So Mayor, if you'll come on up here, please, and share some remarks. This is Sweetwater City Mayor Doyle Lowe.
Thank you. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Welcome to Sweetwater, ladies and gentlemen. How many are from out of town? Just raise your hand. Ooh, just about everybody. We'd like to thank you for being here, Governor. Thank you for coming by today, and good to see you, and hope you'll come back and be with us. Distinguished guests, there's so many here. That's meant a lot to me in my 13 years as mayor. That I've went to many times, and they've never turned me down. Randy McNally, great guy, and he has always pushed for Sweetwater, always. And of course, Lowell Russell and other people. But about 2 years ago, there was a nice looking gentleman, Chuck Whited, brought him into my office one afternoon. And here was a guy dressed about like he is today, sharp. Had a bunch of papers under his arm, and Chuck said he'd like to talk to you. And I said, come on in. And he said, I want to talk to you about a development. I said, okay. So he sat down and he began to unwind and unroll the plans. And it was amazing what I was looking at of buildings just like this one, except this was a sketch. And he said, I always come to the mayor. If the mayor's not for it and don't want it, we move on. And I looked at him and I said, well, see what you got. And I did say, are you real? Is this a real deal here? But to make a long story short, we're here today, aren't we? Huh? We're here, and Jordan, I congratulate you for what you have done. You have worked with the city extremely well. We've been to planning commission meetings. It's always been open, nothing hidden, nothing brought out that shouldn't have been. And we're happy for Sweetwater and Monroe County because this is going to bring in a lot of tax revenue. Jordan didn't tell you this, but he told me after this was all said and done, and about 10 years from now when everything is completed, it's going to bring about $1,500,000 just in property tax alone to the city of Sweetwater. Yeah. And about $3 million from the county. So it's good. Jobs. People are already looking to come to Sweetwater. We had a planning commission meeting Monday night. We annexed a subdivision that's going to be brought of about 150 houses. We rezoned a piece of property Monday night for about 50 houses. So things are happening here in Sweetwater, and we are blessed, and we are blessed beyond measure that we've got a company like Red Stag coming to Sweetwater. It's a regional thing. It's going to be great. I can't wait. I don't know how to take that, Jordan, planting a tree that you'll never be sitting under the shade of. Does that mean I ain't going to be here to see this thing? I mean, Governor, no comment. So anyway, it's wonderful to be here. Wonderful to see you all. Come back and see us. I've invited the governor to come back and spend a day with us in Sweetwater. We'd like to show him our beautiful downtown and what's going on here in the city of Sweetwater. Thank you so much again for being here. And Jordan, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the next person we're going to introduce here is Dusty Holcomb. Dusty is the CEO of Red Stag, and I want to introduce him by telling you a little bit about how we recruited him. He's been at the job for a little over a year now, I think a year and maybe a week or two. When we opened this position, when Dustin and I and our team opened this position, we got, I think, almost 400 applications from organizations, mostly domestic, some international, but some of the biggest brands in our space. Walmart, Amazon, Shopify, a couple of examples. Just big companies, big names who do great work. And these were executives within those firms who were applying for this job. And we, of course, we looked at every single application and we evaluated them on a number of criteria. And at the end of the day, the reason that Dusty is here is not because he has a vast experience in e-commerce order fulfillment, which is what we do here. It's because what we saw in Dusty is the leadership that we want in any of our subsidiaries. He had the character, he has the intensity, he has the care and compassion for his team. Those are the things that we saw in Dusty in spades and that we didn't see in the other applicants. He was our #1 pick. I'm so glad you decided to join us. But it's not because of those things on his resume. It's because of who he is as a person, and I think you'll see that on display here in just one moment. So Dusty, come on up. We're very proud of him and the work that he and his team do, and I could not be more grateful to him. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, first thing I want to say is gee shucks, I'm honored to be here, but more importantly, there's a proverb that I thought of, and you mentioned that, Jordan, is where there is no vision, the people perish. And when you think about, and I think back about what we talked about a year ago and what this would be and could be, and now we stand inside a building. I'm a 7-year-old. Every time I drive down that road and I see big Tonka trucks and I want to go drive them, I've heard several people today already ask if they could get on the bulldozer. I've heard several people say things like bulldozer therapy, and no, we're not doing that afterwards, but I'm reserving time to do that when we get done at some point. This is a special place, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time thanking some of my team, but then also talking about what Red Stag Fulfillment is and what we do, because we're very, very different than your typical 3PL. So people ask me, hey, what is Red Stag? It's my favorite question, because I lead with, we're an e-commerce company. And I pause. And they go, oh, what do you sell? So actually, we're an e-commerce company that does the heavy lifting of e-commerce. We enable great brands to build their businesses. We enable them to provide for their team members and for their employees. We enable them to have a great customer experience. And that's what I'm passionate about. That's what our team is passionate about. So we just happen to do fulfillment logistics. And the business is very simple, very complicated. It's very simple. We receive inventory, we store it, we send it out when an order comes in. It doesn't sound like rocket science, but it really is, because what our founders learned, and the reason Red Stag was born, is that nobody cares about your business the way you do. And so we were born on the client side. We were born to solve the problems that an e-commerce company needs to solve, making sure your orders are accurate, making sure that the inventory is inbounded, received on time. Believe it or not, making sure that it doesn't shrink through pilferage and damage and theft. So everything that Red Stag does is about making sure that we solve our clients' problems. You know, we've been talking a lot internally lately about our mission. Our mission is to enable our clients to focus on what they do best by doing what we do best. The heavy lifting of e-commerce operations, the logistics side of the business. What they do best is create products, sell those products. Merchandising and marketing. Everything that our clients do that doesn't align to that is a debit to their capability and a debit to their ability to grow their businesses. So we enable businesses to grow. And we spent a lot of time earlier this year talking about our purpose and our why. And I think it is reflected simply in this amazing building, Building 1, and we're going to fill them up as fast as we can and build them as fast as we can. But our purpose is to be part of building something special. And the way we think about that as an organization is our clients. We enable our clients to build something special. And I've had conversations with a number of our clients over the last year, and they say things like, Red Stag is our competitive advantage. You're the reason we're able to go to market and deliver a differentiated customer experience. That makes my heart sing praises. So we're part of our clients building something special. We're also part of allowing our team members to grow and be part of growing careers. And those are things that are immeasurable. I'm going to mention a few names in a few minutes that are some folks who have impressed the heck out of me, and they embody the Red Stag difference. We are part of building something special as a company. It's not about what we do. It's about how we do it, and it's about why we do it. And it's the ripple effect. It's the cause and effect and the legacy that we leave behind. Because at the end of the day, we're a people company. We're a company that makes a difference with a lot of folks, and we want to enable our team members to grow. And then there's the part that is brought forth with all the folks that are here today. We like to build community. And the impact we're going to have in communities like Sweetwater is just outstanding. So there's so many people that you mentioned and specifically thanked, Jordan, and we're gonna thank them over and over again, because this wouldn't be possible without an entire community. So everybody that's really participated in this is part of the herd. You're part of building something special, part of what we do. So that's what Red Stag is, and that's who we are. When we think about our how we do it, it's pretty amazing. It is so cool to have an organization that is relentlessly client-focused and is seeking to get better. And we are all about our people. We live by our core values. You can't come into our locations without seeing those core values in action. There's a lot of organizations that put core values on the wall, and they say, these are what we believe, but don't do those. And we're an organization that does those things. And I've got a few folks here in the audience. I'm going to call out some names that I would love to recognize because they embody these core values. So some team members here are Matt Novak, raise your hand, Drew Fox, Nick Barnett, Brent Good, and Justin Loftus. These are individuals who are directly working in client support, client service, and leadership. Every single one of those individuals has been here over 7 years, and every single one of those individuals started as a picker and a packer in a warehouse. When we think about building something special and we think about doing it in a community like Sweetwater, it's not just the products that we service, it's the lives that we impact through the people we employ and how we do it every single day. Rick, Jordan's already thanked you, and now, Rick, I almost wore my cowboy hat as well. I couldn't steal your thunder as your signature. Rick is a guy that he's used to my phone calls, and he's used to me going, I'm ready for our building, and he says, yeah, it'll be sometime longer than I want, and I'm constantly saying I need it now. From the bottom of my heart, thank you to you and the entire Joseph team. There have been a number of opportunities we've had this year to, as our clients are sending more and more inventory in, where we just needed space, and I know you and your team are managing all of this in a dynamic, shifting, crazy environment, and we greatly appreciate it, because our ability to do what we do for our clients is completely dependent on you and your team and your ability to help us grow the business, so thank you so much. There's a couple other folks, and Jordan already mentioned, but I want to say it again. Eli is driving the drone at the back of the room. Eli has been a counselor to me, an absolute rock star as I've thought through how does this whole thing work? What do I need to know? Who do I need to really get to know? So Eli, thank you to you. Bennett Giles, who's made all of this happen. Bennett has been another just counselor and advisor and absolute get stuff doneer, and I couldn't be happier to learn from Bennett and got a few things tools I've added in my toolbox from him. And then Ryan Burnich is the intermediary between Red Stag and the construction team and the development team, and Ryan has just been a rock star. There's a lot of things going on, so for everything that's going on here, we have an entire stream of work at Red Stag getting ready for here, getting ready to hire people, getting ready to have all the equipment in the offices, the buildings, ordering steel for racking. It's a giant list of things that have to be done, and those folks are making it happen. So when we think about building something special, this is really unique. This is Sweetwater and East Tennessee have leaned in, and the thing that has been so apparent to me as I've come to the organization is the air and the energy and the excitement about what's to come. The phone calls that I've received, the Kiwanis Club breakfasts that I've spoken at, the events that my team has participated in, have it said, hey, this is a business that's coming to town, this is a new neighbor, this is a new organization that's going to be part of the community, and we could not be happier to be part of that community. We just are deeply appreciative and thankful to everyone who has been part of that, and just you taking time to be here today is part of that, and you get to be part of the herd, as we like to say. So we'll start hiring people. Actually, we already have our new general manager for this site on here in the audience, Bill Savage. We've got our new HR manager already hired and getting ready to come on board. We'll start hiring personnel to run the warehouse in the next few months, and we can't wait to get on board. So the last thing I really wanted to mention is, these aren't buildings. These aren't simply buildings. This is infrastructure and steel and opportunity to grow something special. This is what businesses are going to be built off of. This is where careers are going to be built. This is where our community is going to be built. And so thank you all for welcoming us. Thank you for being part of the herd. And we're just honored and thrilled to be here. Thank you all so much.
So now you can see why we hired him. All right, so the next speaker, of course, doesn't need an introduction, our governor, but I want to say a few things that I think tie all of what you've seen and heard and what you smell and what you hear happening today. This is Tennessee winning. What you see around you is Tennessee winning. And what I mean by that is, this is hundreds of millions of dollars of investment. This is thousands of jobs. This is the future of families, and this can be replicated all across the state. And I want to go back to a comment I made earlier about our mayor, Doyle, and Jessica Morgan, and a variety of others in the crowd. That they were here to help. And I mentioned Chuck Whitehead earlier. They were here to help. They weren't trying to find reasons why we should or shouldn't do something in a particular way. They were looking at the options, helping us evaluate those options, helping us communicate the intent, and really helping us assemble a million-piece jigsaw puzzle that's constantly moving and that's constantly getting complicated by supply chain problems from around the world. It would be impossible without their engagement. So what you see here today is Tennessee winning. And to paint a broader brush on that, we've been the benefactors here in this state of years, decades of legislative action and leadership from the legislature and from governors who have made decisions, many of which you've never heard about. But the culmination of all of those things comes together in what you see here. We could have built this anywhere. I say anywhere. We had 69 other options in our spreadsheet. This happened to be our number one option. And one of the big heavyweights that we consider, of course, is it's in our backyard. And it's near where we live. That's of course positive. But many of the other sites that we were looking at were in Tennessee specifically. And the reason for that is Tennessee is winning. I want to give you a couple stats, and then the governor will get up here and maybe fill in some more color. Tennessee has been named the number one best fiscally managed state in the country. We've been named the best business climate in the U.S. We've been named number one in the nation for advanced industry job growth. We've been named the best state for small business growth. We've been named we have the lowest state and local tax burden per capita in the country. There's some really interesting articles on that. But that's a big distinction. This is not someone's opinion. This is looking at the math and saying which state in the country has the lowest tax burden per capita, and it's us. We also have the lowest state tax debt per capita in the country. These are major distinctions, and they don't just happen. It's not because of our oceanfront property. It's not because we have oil under the ground. This is because of leadership and because of decisions that have been made over the course of many, many, many years. And all of our legislators, who we named earlier, all the leadership who goes to Nashville, and our governor, of course, we owe them a debt of gratitude because we are winning because of them and the decisions that they've made over the course of time. I also want to mention one more, which I think is just fascinating. We're the number one destination for one-way moving traffic based on U-Haul data. So when you think about that, this is not somebody's opinion. This is hard data that's saying people in this country want to move here. They are moving here, and you can measure it and you can count on it. So, Governor, I just want to say to you and to many of the others in the crowd who have been at this for a very long time, the decisions that you are making and the work that you are doing is winning. And it's winning for cities like Sweetwater. Thank you. Governor?
Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, sir. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for those kind comments, but I think most importantly, the statistics are not comments about me or an introduction for me. They really are remarkable when you consider the years that have gone into a state that has policy that is that fiscally responsible, that creates a business environment with historically and arguably and statistically the lowest tax rates, lowest debt rates. Those are things that matter to individual citizens, and they're things that matter to major corporations when they make their decisions about where they want to go. And I'd have to, as you talked about the General Assembly, and where you have Lieutenant Governor McNally here, and he certainly has served our state for many, many years and has been a defender of that fiscal policy going forward. So I, in particular, want to say thank you for your leadership and your friendship to me in this process. Many in the General Assembly as well. And Congressman Burchett, you are defending us in Washington, which is a very difficult job right now. So I want to especially call you out. But you've assembled a lot of leaders here and a lot of folks in the community as well. And I think there's a reason for that people come out to something like this. People from Jesus to the Lieutenant Governor to business owners, people from one side of our state to the other. And it's because this isn't about steel and dozers and civil work. And by the way, this is the kind of event that I went to for 35 years in my old life. This is what I did. We did build buildings. We were mechanical engineers and contractors. And I can appreciate the intensity of Jordan and feel for many of the contractors that are involved in this project, quite frankly. I know what kind of an owner he is, and I know how difficult that can be. You obviously have stepped up to the plate and done a great job, and I have a deep appreciation for the men and women in this building that are associated with building buildings and facilities, but we all know that it's not about steel and concrete and dirt. It really is about changing people's lives. And when we create an environment in a state that is as attractive as Tennessee is to the rest of the country, what we do is we provide an opportunity for our people's lives to be changed. Because when there's meaningful work and work that brings dignity and life-changing transformational work, we change lives. And we create an opportunity for the future of our state. We live in the greatest state in the country. Most of America is figuring that out. And there is a reason why more people move here than anywhere. There's a reason why major companies are moving here. There's a reason why major Tennessee companies decide to stay here and invest their hundreds of millions of dollars and create thousands of jobs in our state. It is because we are the best state in the country. People figured it out. I actually think people look around this country right now, and it's a very interesting day in America. But they look around the country and they long to find places that remind them that America hasn't lost her way. And they see that in Tennessee. And that is the reason, in culmination with all of these things that have been talked about earlier, that's the reason people are deciding to make their life here. But we are, government isn't the answer to the greatest challenges that we face in our day, but we do have an obligation to create an environment where the people can create the answers and the opportunity can be created for them. Government doesn't create jobs. We don't build buildings. We don't change lives. We create an environment for the people to change lives. And that's happening in our state in large part because of what's happening right here. I will say what the environment that we create, and with Lieutenant Governor sitting here and other members of the General Assembly, we work really hard. We are the lowest tax per capita state in the country, but we also are people who believe that those tax dollars are your money, and we have a responsibility to invest them wisely and to be good stewards of that money. And we think that part of that investment should be in the very things that are happening here. Infrastructure and investing in economic development and investing in the future of our children who will seize the opportunity that's created by the environment that's created. That's why we put $500 million in this year's budget for CTE education, for vocational, technical, and agricultural education. $1 million grants in every high school in Tennessee. $500,000 grants in every middle school in Tennessee. Because these skilled workers out here are few and far between. And our education system hasn't been designed to create more and more of those skilled workers that we so desperately need. But we're going to change that, and we are changing that in this state to develop pathways of opportunity for young people and to develop a workforce that attracts more and more companies into our state to change more and more lives. It's a privilege to be here. Jordan, you and your family, we're longtime friends, but I'm deeply grateful, not just for their friendship, but for their commitment to our state, their investment in this location, their desire to create jobs and change people's lives. It's an honor to be here and celebrate this with you today. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap up right now. And for those of you who know me, you understand that I don't usually like to do what everybody else is doing because it's just kind of boring much of the time because everybody else is doing it. So the idea of standing in front of piles of dirt with shovels and big scissors wasn't I just couldn't get excited about it. So what we decided to do, and if you're involved in the concrete ceremony, please start shifting your way over here. Governor, Justin, Rick, if you guys all start moving over there. So what we decided to do is we're going to stick our hands in some wet concrete to memorialize today, and then we're gonna put those tablets of concrete in the floor near the entrance of the facility. And I thought about even well, maybe we could just have the governor sit on a bulldozer and push some dirt around. That's kind of neat, but I know he can drive a tractor. I don't know that he can drive a bulldozer. I don't need problems. So we're gonna play it safe and stick our hands in some wet concrete. So give us just a couple minutes and then we'll wrap up.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out today. The program is ended. You are dismissed at this time.